There comes a time in a man's life when the tempo of his body no longer marches to the same youthful rhythm it once did. And yet, age, in all its profound wisdom and solemn grandeur, should not be seen as the enemy of passion or intimacy. Indeed, let this be the video that you do not simply watch, but absorb, for hidden in your kitchen, in the modest crevices of your pantry, may lie the very ingredients capable of rekindling vitality in ways both silent and potent. This is not mere folklore wrapped in hopeful exaggeration. It is the voice of science, the whisper of nature, and the truth of the human body aligned in unison. Watch with both patience and curiosity, and perhaps what you learn today may transform the quality of your days ahead. What is this truly about? In its bare essence, it is not about replacement nor about artificial stimulation. This is about restoration, a return to a more natural, enduring virility through the sustenance that the earth has so generously provided. When people speak of natural Viagra, they often speak in metaphor or myth, but here we speak with measured reason. Viagra, in its chemical form, is a vasodilator, a substance that increases blood flow by relaxing the walls of blood vessels, especially in the regions of intimacy. But nature, in its quiet mastery, has evolved certain foods that mimic this process not only gently, but holistically. These foods do not merely awaken desire, but nurture the roots from which desire grows. Circulation, hormonal balance, confidence, and cellular health. Consider, for instance, a man named Jonathan, a retired schoolteacher who spent his younger years walking to class with energy and returning to his wife with joy. In his later years, he noticed a decline not only in performance, but in the desire itself, an invisible fading of an internal flame. It was not medication, but nourishment, slow, consistent, and thoughtful, that brought his energy back, not in a dramatic or cinematic manner, but with quiet dignity. A handful of foods, incorporated regularly, became for him a new ritual, a rite of reclaiming manhood not with pills, but with peaches of the earth. "Let food be thy medicine," said Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine. And how readily we forget the weight of such ancient wisdom. Science, too, lends its voice to this ancient chorus. A 2017 study published in the journal Nutrients observed that flavonoid-rich foods, such as berries, leafy greens, and citrus, were directly associated with improved erectile function in men over 50. Not only did these foods aid circulation, but they influence nitric oxide pathways, the very same mechanism targeted by pharmacological treatments like sildenafil. The body is not merely a machine to be repaired, it is a garden to be tended. And with age, the soil requires greater care, not abandonment. Just as a seasoned violin plays deeper, more textured music than a new one, so too can a man's later years hold richer, more meaningful intimacy, if only he listens to the needs of his body. "I have measured out my life with coffee spoons," wrote T.S. Eliot. And yet, how many men measure out their passion with pills? Let us instead measure it with knowledge, awareness, and nourishment. As we proceed, you will not be given a list to memorize, but rather a story to live by. 5 common foods, each supported by science, cherished in culture and rooted in biology, that may quietly and powerfully act as nature's answer to fading vitality. Let this video not be one of those fleeting things you consume and forget. Let it be a turning point, a signal in the dark, a gentle yet firm reminder that age does not diminish desire, neglect does. With careful attention and natural wisdom, what once seemed lost may again be found. Very well, let us now begin the unfolding of each food, not merely as nutrients, but as characters in the intimate theater of aging masculinity. Each shall be presented as a remedy, a companion, and a symbol of nature's elegant design. The first among them is the watermelon. At first glance, it is hardly the fruit one might associate with such profound effects. Children enjoy it under the sun. It graces the tables of summertime feasts. But concealed within its vibrant red flesh is an amino acid called citrulline, which the body converts into arginine. And from arginine, the magic unfolds into nitric oxide. This very compound, nitric oxide, is responsible for the dilation of blood vessels and thus improved circulation. The same principle upon which medications like Viagra operate. A study from Texas A&M University in 2008 discovered that watermelon's citrulline content had a potential relaxing effect on blood vessels, much like the famed little blue pill, but without its synthetic force. There is nothing unnatural about passion. What is unnatural is the starvation of the body from the elements that nourish it. When a man in his 60s returns home and greets his reflection with the tired gaze of fatigue, it is not age that stares back. It is depletion. Watermelon, when consumed regularly and thoughtfully, offers not just hydration, but the very pulse of restored blood flow. Not a stimulant, but an awakener. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished, said Lao Tzu. So too the effects of natural remedies demand patience, not urgency. The watermelon need not promise fireworks in minutes, but rather a steady clearing of the path, a renewal of the silent river beneath the surface. Next comes a more potent, ancient ally, garlic. A symbol of health in nearly every culture, garlic's effects transcend flavor and fragrance. It is a vasodilator par excellence, working through a compound called allicin, which enhances blood circulation throughout the body. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition in 2016 illustrated how garlic supplementation reduced blood pressure and improved arterial elasticity, key components in maintaining healthy erectile function. There is something romantic in the humility of garlic. It does not boast. It lingers, transforms, and quietly strengthens. For centuries, it has been whispered of in Eastern medicine as a source of masculine energy, the yang, the fire, the breath of renewal. It is both food and medicine, pungent and profound. Let it be crushed into your meals, simmered into your stews, embraced not for convenience, but for consequence. Socrates, the cornerstone of Western thought, once declared, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And perhaps we must extend that philosophy to diet. The unexamined plate is not worth consuming. Garlic, when included, as ritual, not mere garnish, becomes a prayer of vitality to the body. It is not merely to be tasted, it is to be trusted. Then enters the spinach, the leaf of warriors. Its color is no coincidence. It bears the green of oxygen, the chlorophyll of life. Rich in magnesium, spinach acts to dilate blood vessels, aiding circulation in precisely the regions where it is most required. More than this, it helps reduce inflammation, an invisible saboteur of performance in older men. The International Journal of Endocrinology reported in 2011 that magnesium levels were positively associated with testosterone production, a cornerstone hormone in male function. Testosterone does not fade with age alone. It fades with stress, with poor sleep, with the silent inflammation that comes from years of carelessness. Spinach, with its humble leaves, is a guardian against all of these. To eat it raw is to receive its spirit directly. To cook it gently is to draw out its nurturing oils. It is no surprise that ancient Persian soldiers consumed it before battle, for it was their shield, not just their sustenance. Aristotle wrote, "The energy of the mind is the essence of life, but the mind cannot bloom when the body withers." When blood does not flow, neither do thoughts nor dreams nor passions. Spinach, in its simplicity, is a force of flow, a quiet stream that irrigates the fields of masculinity once thought barren. Our fourth champion is one that has sat on breakfast tables for centuries, the egg. In its shell is not merely protein, but choline, a nutrient that supports the production of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter essential for sexual arousal and blood flow. Eggs also support testosterone production due to their healthy cholesterol content. Contrary to old fears, cholesterol, especially from whole eggs, is not the enemy, but the scaffolding upon which testosterone is built. A 2015 study from the journal Lipids in Health and Disease indicated that dietary cholesterol within reasonable intake had a supportive effect on hormone levels in men. Eggs, then, are not just nourishment, they are a call to equilibrium. The yolk, golden and warm, symbolizes the sun itself, energy, light, power. Think of the elderly farmer who begins his morning not with caffeine, but with eggs, a tradition, not of taste alone, but of sustenance that has stood the test of time. The egg is nature's sealed promise, a complete source of life, a gesture of renewal in every bite. And how often do we look at it without reverence, cracking it carelessly into a pan without thought? Let it be honored, not hurried. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Yet he might have added, "You also have power over your habits, over what you place into the temple of your body." The egg is no trend. It is an ancient gift, shaped in simplicity, unmatched in potency. Lastly, and perhaps most surprisingly, we arrive at the dark chocolate, a food of seduction, of decadence, yet also of science. Dark chocolate, when consumed in moderation, contains flavonoids that improve blood vessel function and increase nitric oxide levels. It is, paradoxically, a dessert that heals. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2007 demonstrated that men who regularly consumed dark chocolate had lower blood pressure and improved circulation. But not all chocolate is equal. What heals is not the sugary confections of modern convenience, but dark chocolate with a cocoa content of 70% or more. Bittersweet, dense, and alive with antioxidants. It is a reminder that pleasure and health are not enemies. They can, in certain sacred forms, be allies. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work, said Aristotle, and perhaps pleasure in nourishment puts perfection in the body. Dark chocolate is the meeting point of indulgence and discipline. A way for an older man to reconnect with the sensuality of eating, the joy of flavor, while still supporting his vascular health. Taken together, these 5 foods form not a cure, but a compass. Watermelon for its citrulline, garlic for its allicin, spinach for its magnesium, eggs for their choline and cholesterol, and dark chocolate for its flavonoids. They are not miracles, they are meals, but therein lies their power, in consistency, in balance, in reverence. Age, when coupled with awareness, becomes an advantage, not a hindrance. The younger man may move fast, but the older man moves wise. And wisdom is choosing foods that nourish not only the body, but the soul. For intimacy in one's later years is not about performance, but about presence. It is not about proving anything, but about feeling everything. Watch this video not just once, but return to it. Reflect upon it. Share it with those who walk this path beside you. In a world eager to sell quick solutions, let this be your quiet rebellion, to choose what is natural, what is timeless, what is rooted in the soil and born from the seed. Let us now proceed to expand and deepen this classical journey into the restoration of masculine vitality, not merely through foods, but through the lifestyle of reverence and rhythm that they encourage. For these 5 elements are not isolated ingredients, but rather instruments in a greater orchestra of wellness. When taken into the body with respect, they do not merely act upon it, but commune with it. And yet, one must be cautious not to treat food like magic, nor aging like a disease. The modern world has conditioned men to believe that a pill can replace a ritual, that gratification can replace growth, and that convenience should override care. But the truth, as every wise man eventually learns, is that lasting strength is not seized, but cultivated. These 5 foods, watermelon, garlic, spinach, eggs, and dark chocolate, work not as sudden answers, but as quiet companions. Their effect is cumulative, not explosive. They whisper to the blood, to the nerves, to the spirit, not shout. Scientific studies support this claim beyond mere suggestion. In 2018, a peer-reviewed meta-analysis in Frontiers in Physiology explored dietary nitrate and nitric oxide pathways, affirming that plant-based nitrates, particularly from leafy greens like spinach and fruits like watermelon, had significant impacts on vascular function in aging populations. These pathways are intimately tied to erectile performance, and their decline with age can often be mitigated by dietary intervention. Not corrected in a flash, but improved with discipline. The problem lies not in the food, but in the impatience. One does not plant a tree and demand its fruit the next morning. Similarly, one does not consume spinach on Monday and expect renewal by Wednesday. The body is a temple, and temples are not built overnight. They are tended to with consistency and solemnity. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "No great thing is created suddenly, and neither is virility. Let these foods be symbols of a vow, a man's promise to himself that he shall no longer treat his body as something he tolerates, but as something he treasures." Let us take a moment now to contemplate the synergy between these foods. Each plays a distinct role. Watermelon begins the dance by improving blood flow. Garlic fortifies it with cardiovascular resilience. Spinach raises the platform of testosterone and nourishes the arteries. Eggs build the building blocks of arousal chemistry. Dark chocolate, with its seductive bitterness, finalizes the ritual with mood elevation and blood flow stimulation. When eaten together, not as gluttony but as grace, they form a sacred rhythm. Morning could begin with eggs and a handful of sautéed spinach. Midday may welcome watermelon slices or a smoothie. Evening may host garlic-laced meals with a square of dark chocolate for closure. What you consume is not merely food, it is intent, ritual, and renewal. Do not underestimate the power of such simplicity. In 2019, researchers in the Journal of Sexual Medicine published findings that dietary patterns rich in flavonoids and plant-based nutrients significantly reduce the risk of erectile dysfunction in men over 60. Not marginally, but meaningfully, suggesting that modern medicine's obsession with pharmacology may be missing the deeper, more sustainable path. Let us also not forget that intimacy is not a solo act. When an older man reclaims his health, he reclaims not only his strength, but his connection to his partner, to his inner self, to the poetry of touch and closeness. These foods are not for him alone. They ripple through the ecosystem of his relationships. There is a sacred dignity in an older man rediscovering intimacy. He no longer approaches it from conquest, but from communion. No longer from urgency, but from understanding. And when his body is aligned, when his blood flows as it once did, when his hormones return to their rightful notes, he does not become young again. He becomes whole again. Confucius once said, "The superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions." And so it should be with this wisdom. Let your actions, what you eat, how you rest, how you breathe, speak louder than any boastful claim. Do not announce your virility. Build it quietly. Let it return to you not with fanfare, but with grace. But what of those who feel too far gone? Those who say, "It is too late for me"? To that we must say this: the soil never forgets the rain. No matter how long the drought, the earth always remembers how to drink. Similarly, your body remembers how to feel. It remembers vitality. What it needs is your permission and your patience. Begin with one food, just one. Add watermelon to your day. Do so for a week, then garlic, then spinach. Let it become a cascade, not a commandment. Let it flow into your life like a stream, not a storm. Before you know it, the fog will begin to lift. Not all at once, but enough for the sunlight to peek through. Let us end with a reflection from Seneca, who wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Let not this part of life, the intimate, the passionate, the deeply human, be wasted. Let it be rediscovered, rekindled, reborn. Let this video, this message, these foods, be your map. You do not need to become a new man. You need only to become the man you were always meant to be." ChatGPT said, "Very well. Let us now walk the final miles of this contemplative journey, not by introducing new foods, but by expanding the chamber in which these foods play their eternal music, the human life. the aging man, and the intimate theater of time. The pursuit of masculine strength after 60 is not a rebellion against age. It is the most dignified acceptance of it. One does not chase after youth as a desperate fugitive. No. A wise man recognizes that his strength must change in shape, not in worth. Where once it roared, now it must resonate. Where once it exploded, now it must endure. The foods we have spoken of, watermelon, garlic, spinach, eggs, and dark chocolate, are not instruments of reversal, but of refinement. But let us not imagine that nutrition alone completes the task. It is not merely what enters the body, but also what surrounds it that grants vitality. A man may eat perfectly, yet suffer if he lacks sleep, solitude, purpose, or affection. Food feeds the blood, but breath feeds the soul. Plato once observed, "The part can never be well unless the whole is well." And so we must now speak of the whole. Let us speak of sleep. If food is the fire, then sleep is the breath that feeds the flame. Testosterone is not produced in haste. It is built each night as the body slips into rest. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, in 2011 revealed that young men who slept less than 5 hours a night for just 1 week experienced significant reductions in testosterone levels. Imagine then the compounded effects upon an older man who has for years mistaken rest for laziness and stillness for stagnation. True masculinity is not proven in motion alone, but in the discipline to pause. Go to bed with intention. Let your last thoughts before sleep be of gratitude and not regret. Remove the screen. Silence the world. In stillness, the body restores itself. In silence, the hormones are composed like symphonies. And what of movement? Not the labor of youth, but the mobility of wisdom. A walk at sunrise, 10 minutes beneath the trees, a gentle stretch before bed. These are not exercises, they are invitations. Movement is not a punishment for eating. It is the celebration of life. When you walk, you are not burning calories. You are igniting memories in the body. You are reminding it of its architecture. You are teaching it once more how to flow, how to breathe, how to carry itself. A man who walks every day and eats watermelon need not fear the shadow of pharmaceutical dependence. A man who stretches while garlic simmers in his kitchen does not age. He deepens and stress, the silent predator. The unseen flame that scorches, testosterone that corrodes intimacy, that stiffens the heart and weakens the will. Chronic stress floods the body with cortisol, which in turn suppresses sexual function, mood, and energy. This is no speculation. This is science. The Endocrine Society has long affirmed the inverse relationship between cortisol and testosterone. They are like opposing rulers. When one dominates, the other diminishes. Thus, you must wage peace within your own life. Let go of that which you cannot control. Cultivate that which you can. Forgive not for the other, but for the quiet of your own chest. Speak softly. Rise slowly. Remember that intensity is not the same as strength. A volcano is intense, but the mountain is strong. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Choose peace, not passivity, not retreat, but conscious, sacred interior peace. And finally, let us return to the bed, not as a place of mere sleep or sexual performance, but as a sanctuary of intimacy. It is there, in the quiet hours where food, breath, emotion, and history meet. It is there where the older man must lay not only his body, but his fears, his memories, and his hopes. He must enter not with anxiety, but with presence. For intimacy is not the act of a moment. It is the music of connection. A shared glance, a held hand, a wordless embrace. None of these require the hardness of youth. They require only the softness of intention. The watermelon helps him arrive. The garlic gives him heart. The spinach brings him strength, the egg, his chemistry, the chocolate, his joy, but it is the man himself who must bring the soul. Let this not be seen as a list of foods, but as a philosophy of eating, a theology of aging, and a ritual of reawakening. Let each bite be a vow. Let each meal be a meditation. Let each day begin with gratitude not for what you once had, but for what you still carry. You are not beyond your prime. You are beyond your pretense. You are not finished. You are fermenting, ripening, deepening. And when the body aligns with the wisdom of the mind, when foods become not fixes but friends, then nature rewards you not with miracles, but with meaning. So eat. Eat not to delay death, but to deepen life. Eat as though your body were sacred, because it is. Eat as though your partner deserved your fullest self. Because they do, eat as though the world were not ending, but just beginning. Because for you it can be. And so, dear listener, if you have made it this far, know that this was not merely a video. It was a rite, a return, a reminder. You are still here. And that means something sacred is still unfolding. Let us now step even further into the hallowed space of reflection, a space where we do not merely eat to survive or to stimulate, but to sanctify. For every bite of those 5 divine gifts, from nature, watermelon, garlic, spinach, eggs, and dark chocolate, is not just a physical act. It is a declaration, a quiet rebellion against decay, a reverent bow toward the sacred energy that pulses within all living men, no matter how silver their temples or how seasoned their backs. To understand the power of these foods is to understand the body not as machinery, but as an ecosystem. Every nutrient you consume, every antioxidant you ingest, acts like rainfall upon a garden. And the older the soil, the deeper the roots. But no root survives without water, and no vitality blooms without nourishment. Consider this. In a 2020 study published in Nutrients, researchers explored the long-term effects of nitric oxide-boosting foods, like spinach and watermelon, on aging populations. They found marked improvement not just in cardiovascular function, but in mood, energy levels, and even sleep quality. Why? Because the body does not compartmentalize as neatly as modern science pretends. Blood flow affects the brain affects the hormones affect desire, and desire affects vitality. One must abandon the notion that a man is only what he can do. That myth belongs to youth. The truth is that a man is what he can mean, and to mean something to himself, to his partner, to the world, he must first reclaim his sense of self. This reclamation begins not in the gym nor in the bedroom, but in the kitchen. Do not simply eat a piece of dark chocolate. Savor it. Let it melt slowly on the tongue. Let the flavonoids do their silent work, easing the blood vessels open, awakening your body with pleasure and patience. Let each square remind you that indulgence, in the right measure, is not weakness, it is wisdom. Do not simply sauté spinach. Watch it wilt as the heat transforms it, just as age transforms a man. Softening what once was rigid, concentrating what once was diluted. In that pan lies not just food, but metaphor. Let it remind you, aging is not the loss of fire. It is the refinement of flame. And garlic. Let it be your ritual. Chop it slowly. Let its alicin rise like incense. Know that each clove is a gift of immune support, of heart protection, of blood purification. It does not need to shout to be strong. It simply needs to be present. These foods are ancient. They have healed peasants and kings alike. And when you eat them with reverence, you place yourself in a long sacred lineage. You become not merely a consumer of nutrients, but a participant in nature's design. Yet let us not romanticize aging too much. Let us not pretend it is without aches or shadows. There will be mornings where stiffness greets you before the sun does. There will be moments when memory hesitates or desire flickers. This is not failure. This is nature's rhythm. And if you listen carefully, Even its silence is a song. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, once declared, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." This is not metaphor. It is instruction. The watermelon is not merely sweet, it is vasodilation. The spinach is not merely green, it is testosterone's whisper. The egg is not just breakfast, it is the orchestra of hormones. The chocolate is not indulgence, it is circulation's velvet road. And garlic? Garlic is the guardian, silent, potent, eternal. Aging is not the vanishing of power, it is the maturing of potency. And these foods do not resurrect youth. They reveal strength. Strength that is slower, yes, but deeper. Strength that does not explode, but endures. Lao Tzu said, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." Let this be your model. Do not rush the results. Do not chase the mirror's verdict. Let the body come back to itself. Inch by inch, breath by breath, bite by sacred bite. You must understand, food is not separate from intimacy. It is a rehearsal for it. When you learn to taste with care, to chew with patience, to honor your hunger without shame, you learn the very same skills that intimacy requires: attention, presence, devotion. It is no accident that the foods which improve blood flow also enhance mood, that those which support testosterone also reduce inflammation, that those which taste divine also fortify the heart. Nature has not only provided, it has whispered a pattern, a path, and your task is not to invent it, but to remember it. Let us imagine then, not merely a life of avoidance, avoiding pills, avoiding decline, avoiding shame, but a life of embrace. Let food not be your crutch, but your cathedral. Let it not be your rescue, but your ritual. Each of these 5 everyday gifts can be found in markets, gardens, or kitchens. They require no prescription, only intention. Their power lies not in their novelty, but in their consistency. Used together, with patience and reverence, they nourish what no medicine can, your sense of aliveness. And that is what this message was truly about. Not virility in its narrowest sense, but aliveness, presence, purpose, connection. Let the watermelon sweeten your summer mornings. Let garlic perfume your quiet dinners. Let spinach bless your midday ritual. Let eggs awaken you with golden light. Let chocolate carry you gently into the dusk. And let each of them remind you, you are not old. You are essential. The path forward is not loud. It is luminous. The strength you seek is not in the past. It is in your plate, your breath, your blood. You need not be young to be whole. You need only to be willing, willing to return, willing to reclaim, willing to rise. And so, dear listener, as this sacred telling draws to its close, let us remember not the science alone, nor the quotes, nor even the foods. Let us remember the feeling, the quiet knowing, the inner bell that rings when truth is spoken. You are not fading. You are ripening. You are not declining. You are concentrating, and all the vitality you ever thought was gone, it was simply waiting for your return. So now rise, not in haste, but in reverence. Rise not to prove your worth, but to honor it. You who have weathered times unspoken, trials. You who have carried burdens, fought quiet battles, and loved in silences the world never heard. You are not a shadow of your youth. You are the full light of a life well lived. Let every step you take from here be a declaration, not of resistance to age, but of alliance with it. Let every meal you prepare be a tribute to the body that still serves you. Let every breath be a blessing. Let every nightfall bring not fear, but fulfillment. You are not behind. You are precisely where depth begins. You are not less. You are distilled. You are not finished. You are just becoming. And if you ever forget this truth, return to these 5 humble foods. They are not merely fuel. They are your compass. They are your anchor. They are your quiet revolt against the lie that says aging is the end. It is not the end. It is the unveiling. If these words stirred something within you, if they reminded you of the fire that still burns in your bones, then carry this message with you, not in memory alone but in action. Let it change how you eat, how you live, and how you love. Subscribe to our channel for more timeless wisdom, and share this with a brother, a father, a friend. Any man who needs to hear that his best strength is not behind him. It's awakening now. Until next time, eat with purpose, live with honor, and never forget, age is not the closing chapter. It is the richest one. Stay strong, stay vital, stay you.